What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the debut album by rock band No Doubt. Basically, this product is called Self-Titled No Doubt, and it came out in the late winter of 1992. So the thing about this particular product is they had no doubt had a particular local come up scene as far as those first kind of particularly happened within the pitch behind it. They basically almost independently funded this particular product just because Interscope did not really have much trajectory of really helping out with this particular fair just because it didn't sell that. It didn't sell that superbly back in like the winter, spring, and summer of '92 as far as this pitch could happen. So they did go on tour and pitches like that. But their later album, the Beacon Street Collection, which I reviewed back in like the late fall of 2024, which was the Beacon Street Collection, which I reviewed in the fall of 2024, was kind of another independent type one within a relative type pitch. I had like some modest type appeals about it just from the pitch behind it. Now, I have not purchased that particular album yet, but it's kind of just like an in between conduit. Like this particular album has like some of the doo wop. It's not necessarily doo wop, but it kind of feels like 90s doo wop, kind of ska like, just kind of more pep, just kind of on like the Los Angeles scene type within the pitch behind it. Just it's had like some good melds of just like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock PM type dredge that just feels very reminiscent of like 90s in general. Like when you think of the 90s in a lot of senses, a pretty ideal band for that particular fair is No Doubt within the pitch behind it. But the thing about this particular album is just the fact that it came out right in the crest of grunge type music throughout like the early 90s. So this came out just approximately 6 months after like Nirvana's hit album Nirvana's hit album Nevermind, as far as this pitch kind of happens. That's what MTV and VH1, some of those type places were kind of sold on as far as this pitch kind of happen. Pearl Jam's 10, some of those type pitches. Dirt by Alice in Chains had not come out yet, so it's within the pitch. This is kind of a format that this kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. It's kind of ahead of the times. This is kind of an advanced album here within the pitch because really Tragic Kingdom from like the fall of 1995 was the album that kind of was a defining 90s album, definitely a seminal type one. I reviewed that back in the summer of 2023. Had 8 singles on there, lasted from about the spring summer of 1995 all the way to like the spring, all the way to about the approximate spring of 1998 within the fairs. That album was a huge deal. I want to say it went diamond pitch just like that, some of those particular type fairs. The other album that came out in '95, the Beacon Street Collection, did have like a single or two on there within the pitch. I don't remember that album like I was saying is full bound, but basically just kind of the conduit type stage and just kind of formatting like singles for like the pitch behind it as far as those first gonna happen. This particular album has at least one single that they funded out of pocket. The No Doubt band funded out of pocket was within the pitch. Just the same typical type format, just kind of those California kind of sunny house within the pitch behind it with a little bit of dredge. I feel like both of their early two albums before Tragic Kingdom just kind of had like the format of this. Like there's some songs in this particular album that feel like very similar to like the fairs of songs like Spider Webs and Don't Speak and some of those type ones. Maybe not with like the lush kind of just gallivant of a song like Just a Girl, but definitely some of those type pitches when you think of some of those type ones. There's probably some other type singles like let's say Excuse Me Mister is another of those type pitches that has that particular aspect of some of the single type formats off this particular album. But just within pitch, just to talk about the Beacon Street Collection one more time within the fair behind it, or just within that. But just talk about the Beacon Street Collection again within those fairs behind it. It's just kind of the concept of that had that particular product had a little bit more budget. So if you like this particular album and you want things within the similar format to this album, but just with like a little bit more realized type sound within the pitches, they started to get a higher budget, more fleshed out type aspects within the tone behind it, just kind of within that conduit. Basically, the Beacon Street Collection is just this particular album and Tragic Kingdom, just with the concept, but just not a huge single like Don't Speak or Just a Girl, some of those type fairs. This particular album is very down low in the trench, just in the aspect. It feels like barely, not necessarily barely, but just in the conduct of just like the initial kind of swimming around within the pitch as far as getting towards the conduct of dropping singles within the format as far as those fairs would kind of happen. Just the figuring out of like going from more of just like independent type fair to like the concept of like the commercial type format of developing a sound. Because the thing about No Doubt, there weren't a ton of folks that had their particular sound around this particular time, especially not back in the winter of 1992 as far as those first going to happen. So it's just a differential type pitch. The way things were kind of happening, there was already a trend that was kind of being kicked off in the 90s. So it's just a pitch that this particular sound, the ska type sound, the more 4 o'clock PM type dredge. When you think of hit singles by No Doubt like Dopes, when you think of classic hit singles by No Doubt I mean, you think of classic hit singles by No Doubt, like No Speak, some of those type ones that just feel like great for like 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock p.m. pitches like this. Just kind of the format of some of that particular type of. But I look after just a good composition about this album. Now, this album has more hits than misses. This is kind of within the pitch. I do feel like Tragic Kingdom was better, but it's just within the pitch as far as saying for an initial debut and the just the heads up and the trend settingness that this particular album had. It definitely is a pretty good look here within the pitch. So I wound up recommending 9 out of 13 songs. Now, there's actually 14 on here, but within the pitch, as far as this fair is going to happen, one of which is just an intro. This is kind of an instrumental. Just the band work as far as this fair is going to happen. But yeah, 9 out of 13. So pretty overall balance. I mean, it's kind of the reception's a little bit rougher within the pitch, considering that half of 13 would be about 7, 6.5 would be 6.5 would be half of 13, but just from the pitch, it's just a little bit. It's just a couple hairs higher than like with the pitch behind, but you'll see the score as that particularly happens. But just from the pitch, this is pretty stellar album just in the aspect here. It just has a lot of good affluence, has a lot of good 90s flavor and affluences as far as those pitch albums. It's a fun type record, very upbeat, and has the good aspect, just like some differential type jive. This is a vanilla type album. This I feel like when you think of the 90s, once again, this is a vanilla type album within those pitches. Then this is the vanilla kind of 90s album in terms of vanilla rock and pitches like that. So it's just the pitch. This Wikipedia and pitches like that say this is like a ska type album, but it doesn't really feel as much ska as much as it is just like the kind of Los Angeles type sound that would just have that particular format. Just something that you would expect out of folks like Sublime and Smash Mouth and some of those type folks that had that particular aspect about it. Sugar Ray, some of those type folks that were just more Beach Boy and Beach Bum type aspects within the pitch. It was just some good type there. Just really California West Side type aspects within the tone, but it's just a good connect to that. So yeah, there's only one single off this album. Once again, I want to say that it was funded out of pocket, so it's just in the pitch. I don't think this music video got placed on MTV or VH1, was within the pitch. Still some good type fair. So Trapped in a Box is a real nice one here. Pretty excellent debut single to get from No Doubt as far as what's first going to happen. Now, this might have been on the No Doubt kind of greatest hits album that I reviewed back in the summer 2023, the 1992 to 2003 greatest hits. That also has the hit single It's My Life on there, which is a good type one. I don't know if I recommended that song back in 2023, but this is an excellent one here. I would definitely recommend it nowadays. It's like a glared but upbeat kind of evening mingle to kind of get here. Just fresh out of work shift, I'd had to say some commerce about that. And just an early kind of venue hit as far as it's going to go. So by early kind of venue hit, I just mean the pitch is something you'd listen to about 6:45, 6:15, 7:15, some of those type pitches within the aspect behind. Just kind of the commerce that just like those orange and kind of pink skies within the aspect of just a relative kind of, it's not necessarily dredge like the concept of being frustrating, but just the concept of like that kind of hair in the wind type breeze that just feeling good enough to just get to the pitch of just like just the after moments of just like work probably ended like 15, 25 minutes ago. Some of those type pitches, just kind of the tone as far as saying just going to hit up like some spots to kind of get to the groove as far as those pitches have. Just good type tone, just real good embrace. For 1992, this is pretty refreshing. I would suppose this one's pretty similar within a relative type sense to Just a Girl. I didn't catch that as much when I was doing the description for these songs, but I looked at the pitch. It does have that particular kind of jubilant type format of Just a Girl, just without like the full bound kind of mammoth type hook. But it's definitely within the without the full bound kind of mammoth type hook. But I definitely say within the impact of it is pretty severe within the pitch as far as that particular goes. Definitely for what was happening around that time. It's definitely I do feel like this is a conduit type song that definitely fleshed out like a movement that just really was a staple in the 90s. Now, this is kind of underappreciated, I'd say. I don't know if this song charted as full bound or really how much airplay it particularly got, but it's just an initial type one. For the most part, I would think most folks probably think that No Doubt started with the Tragic Kingdom album. It's just kind of within the conduct that their actual debut single is a pretty good hitter as far as this pitch kind of just a good kind of 6 o'clock p.m. embrace. So a good type pitch for that. And that takes care of the promotion. So just be able to say here now, I'm not sure if there were other songs. So yeah, basically the only song that was on this 1992 album that was also on the 2003 greatest hits album that No Doubt dropped around that time. Basically, the only song off this 1992 album that was on the 2003 Greatest Hits album that I reviewed a few years ago was just Trapped in a Box. I was thinking there might have been like another one that could have almost been like a promo single or something. But if I had to guess some songs that I probably would have chosen for like some further type singles and promotion off this product, I definitely would have said that Let's Get Back is a real nice one for some of those type pitches. I'd probably say one of these type ones, like either Sinking or Move On, would be some good type pitches within some of those type formats. And sometimes it's kind of like a good, kind of almost new wave, kind of depressive type song that just hits pretty heavily, I'd say. There's just a lot of dance venue jive on here that works extremely well with the pitch behind it. It's just kind of concept. It's just kind of concept. If you like songs like Spiderwebs and Excuse Me, Mister, some of those type pitches, just within the format as far as saying that this has those particularly pretty well in space. So it's just a good concept for like some good foot tap type songs. Pretty social within the aspect, but pretty social within the aspect. Just nails these particular vibes of this Yeah, this is kind of a blend of like just all three of the first three No Doubt albums have this particular kind of dance venue type noise. It is something that would be kind of within like a romping type neighborhood. Just pitches where there's going to be near sports bars, college bars, some of those type places, just places where you get nachos and wings, some of those particular type bears where it would be like a local band playing something within those pitches as far as those formats can happen. There's just some ones on here. Let's Get Back. I'd say like Move On. I'd say Doormat, Get on the Ball. Some of these type pitches really have that in spades. Yeah, this so the only four songs I don't recommend on the only four songs I don't recommend on this album would just be Sad for Me, A Little Something Refreshing, Paulina, and Brand New Day. So talk about some of these. Really Sad for Me just didn't have an enjoyable type production. It's like a worse version of like a song. Like sometimes that I'd say just in the pitch, it was just not as full bound within the pitch behind. It was kind of one of the more awkward kind of instrumentation fares off this particular one that just was not as apple within something. I think the concept of like nailing some of these more beleaguered type songs. I mean, it nailed. I do feel like the concept of like kind of a more brooding type aspect it nails pretty well. This is like when Wikipedia places like that kind of say this is an upbeat type album. It's a vanilla type album, but there is a lot of brooding about this product where it just kind of has some ruffled kind of bad hair days in the pitch. But I just feel like when it actually comes like full bound kind of sad songs where it's not something rousing or something rosy in mind as well as this kind of pitch that's sad for me. It was just not one of those type ones that nailed it. Then there's some ones on here like the brief snappy jive of a little something refreshing was just not as quality compared to some of these ones like Let's Get Back and like Get on the Ball and some of these type ones and Move On some of those type pitches. Brand New Day was just kind of like one. Paulina was just kind of a typical kind of day dredge, just kind of the concept of just one that's similar to Big City Train, but just in the pitch is just not as affable within like the typical kind of fare of like makeshift slime and pitches like that. There are a few makeshift songs on here, but Paulina just didn't pull off that one. The Brand New Day was just kind of a jive type one. Brand New Day just kind of had a jive about it that just was not as affable within the pitch, just within the tone behind it. Just kind of a concept of one. Just the composition about that particular song just didn't nail the delivery as far as that particular pair kind of had. It was just a little bit more rough around the edges. It just didn't have as much full bound appeal with it. But I just look at it like once again, most of the production fare about this project is within some of these venue type step out type moments. I just feel like it's this kind of concept that Brand New Day just kind of had. The thing about Brand New Day is it wasn't as much like a full bound kind of dance venue song within the pitch either. It's this kind of concept that is kind of taking like the social energy of something just for like the typical kind of out and about with it, but just not as affable as like compared to like Big City Train or Let's Get Back, some of those type ones within the pitch or Get on the Ball, some of those particular type fares just was not as starry or as engaging, I'd have to say. So it's good. So just within the concept just was not as affable. But yeah, talk about some of these ones I recommend on here. So Big City Train is a real nice one. It's like an out in the late day shift kind of city hop kind of get here. Just grab Subway, grub some of that type fare. Just typical kind of local air and run pitches within that, some of that particular type fare. It's kind of a good combo with like Trapped in a Box, but just not as recreational within the fare behind it. I just would say it's just a little bit more amidst like an air and run, some of that particular day fare, just like the stretch, of just like the goings on, where it's not as much like amidst like the dance venue foot tap type music and just dance grooves pitches like that, but it's just kind of constant, just like some uppity typeness and just bustle within the typical kind of just like car commerce and just outstretch as far as those pitches kind of go. Sometimes it's a nice one. It's like a woozy and belated kind of song. Sometimes it's like a woozy and belated kind of dusky malaise kind of get here. It just reminds of like an early kind of dope. This particular song reminds of like an early Don't Speak, I'd have to say, with an aspect, just some decent kind of 5 p.m. radio shifts as far as those first gonna have. So just a good aspect here. Sometimes it's just kind of a more moody and wallowing type one within the pitch behind it, but delivers upon the vibe, being able to nail that. Just a better version, like the song that like sad. It's a better version of the song "Sad for Me." It was trying to be within the pitch behind it, so it's a good type aspect there. Get on the Ball is a pretty nice one as well. It's like a starry kind of city embrace kind of get here. Just good dance venue gem. It's like a good dance venue gem, I definitely have to say, but it's also pretty jazzy. It's a good dance venue gem to kind of get here, but also jazzy, kind of wide awake night hop within the pitch behind. So it's just good within the concept of this being out and about within some of that type of appeal, within pretty much like the same fashion as Big City Train, but just in the pitch of just like a real kind of just feeling good. Just one of those bravado type ones that you would expect from like typical kind of more swinging type music. It's kind of like a 90s version of like 60s music type fare within the pitch, just something real starry and just kind of swinging within the pitch, something you expect from folks like I was saying, like Tony Bennett, some of those particular type folks, or you could even say Sinatra, some of those particular type folks within the fair as far as those aspects kind of happen with it. But it's just kind of good night hop to kind of get within those pitches. Just works like a dance venue within some of that type of area. It's not to say this is swingy type music, but it just has a real kind of starry, just kind of taste of the city life within the pitch behind it. So it's just a good aspect there. Some of these type ones like Ache is a or Let's Get Back's a real nice one on here. It's like Let's Get Back is like a nice foot tap kind of groove, I'd say. Just some night venue flavor, I feel like, within the pitch behind it. Good possible single this could have been here. Good for some social commotion within the aspects. It's just kind of with the pitch. If Trapped in a Box a little bit more amiss, getting to like the venue, Let's Get Back to this a little bit more amiss, like the concept of kind of having that there, just a particular typical night energy. Pretty good and just stylish for 1992 as far as those pitches can happen, just from the aspect behind it compared to some of these type ones. This has some good jangle about it within the aspect. It's kind of vanilla type style that was pulling off like what 90 sounds were going to sound like years later and just within pitches like that. So it's kind of like an early bird within that particular fair, but did it. Ache is a nice one as well. It's like a beleaguered kind of day. Yeah, the hit song Ache is like a beleaguered kind of day after hours saunters kind of get here. Just a ruffled day or two, I'd say, within the aspects. It's need to pick me up. I would definitely feel like here just some usual slime within the pitch behind it. So it's kind of the miss the pitch. It just like typical type fairs. Just kind of the concept, like no doubt within a few of these type no doubt albums, like Return to Saturn, as far as those pitches gonna happen. Maybe like a couple other ones, like I want to say also like the Beacon Street Collection, some of those type fairs. It's kind of amidst like personal life within the pitch behind it. Just kind of the concept, just less focused on. I mean, the concept of getting tore up is on here, but it's kind of the concept of like the standard kind of typical day live standard kind of typical personal life drama within the pitch behind it. So it's just kind of concept of just that particular fair, just within the concept of like more Benny type shift. This particular album more so than like Return to Saturn, at least within the pitch. When you think of like Return to Saturn, that had a little bit more personal life type drama within the pitch. It is more embrace like the makeshift dredge and pitches like that. When you think of songs like the single, I can't remember the single that was similar to Don't Speak off Return to Saturn, but Don't Speak was definitely personal life kind of commerce, makeshift kind of commerce, car commerce pitches like that. It's the same thing with the Return to Saturn single. I'll probably put that in the connotation. Some of those type ones just were kind of missed that, but there's some ones on here, songs like Sinking, Ache, and Move On are kind of some pitches of just like, and Doormat even are kind of some pitches like personal life kind of issues just out in public within the fairs behind. So it's not necessarily a restaurant kind of day evening type fair, but it's just kind of pitch of like social commotion where it's just kind of concept just hey, a little bit ruffled within the pitch behind. It's kind of the concept of like it's kind of annoyed on like a Friday night within the pitch behind as far as those fairs can happen. So it's just within the fair, but not necessarily as full bound romantic compared to like Return to Saturn, some of those type pitches, but it's just kind of concept of just like social step out within the pitch, it's just kind of the aspect, just kind of that kind of the jangleness. So it's a good concept. Just looking after that one, Ache is a nice one. Doormat's a pretty nice one as well. It's like a jazzy kind of 90s debonair step out. I'd say this reminds me like early bird kind of spider webs, I'd have to say here. Excuse me, mister. Some of those type pitches, like a good foot tap kind of personal. It's like a good foot tap kind of personal song in public as far as those pitches kind of happen. So yeah, I'd say another good debonair type one within the pitch would definitely be Doormat within the fair. Just pretty similar to like Get on the Ball, some of those particular type fairs, but just kind of star within the aspects as far as those pitches kind of go. Just jazzy within the aspect, just good type glaze and just glamour about it. And then Move On. Move on to some nice ones here. It's like a jangled kind of evening strolls kind of get this routine kind of drama dredge within the aspect here. Just kind of more, just kind of localized within the pitch. Just maybe walking to like a neighborhood jaunt, some sort of pub within pitches like that. Just kind of the commerce and just like the neighborhood type crawls within it. Not tons of these particular songs. Most of this is kind of more amidst like the commerce and just like to step out in like a relative kind of poppin' local scene, but this also kind of like the concept of this like more neighborhood type fair. But this particular one just feels a more this like gas station run, this more kind of near the house type fair within the pitch behind it. It's kind of a social pairing with like Trapped in a Box and Sinking as far as those pitch kind of so it's good type tone for some of those type ones. It's more it's kind of aspects to just the miss like kind of just kind of it's kind of a miss like some ruffled tones in the pitch. It's kind of once again just bad hair days and those type fairs. And Sinking is quality one. I think this is the last one I haven't talked about on here. It's like a re-up with and then I would say that Sinking is a quality one as well. It's like a re-up with like a usual kind of local spot. I'd have to say just Get Crunk, this kind of bad hair day within the pitch behind it goes with Ache. I'd have to say here, and it's just a little bit more brooding than that particular song, but it is a dope type one with the pitch. So it's just kind of concept, just a little bit more in like a kind of dreary type mood within the pitch compared to Ache. Some of those particular type fairs, Ache has a little bit more just foot tap about it, a little bit more drive within the pitch, but this one's a little bit more within the concept of this, a little bit more kind of malaise on your mind as far as this pitch caps. It's just going to tone as far as saying, but yeah, a particular theme about this product just has the concept of like some local spots within the pitch, just routine type places where you're going to hit up and just have like some usual kind of conduct within the pitch behind it. Just kind of the pitch of kind of like some good meetup type spots within the pitch as far as just having like some bars that have like some good prices on some drinks that you particularly enjoy, some fairs like that. Just kind of concept of like a DJ that always plays some good songs within the pitch. So it's just good type fair for some of that particular nest. It's good concept for that. Yeah, I look after here. So the score I'm going to give this album, me recommending 9 out of 13 on here. I'm going to give this album like a 7.75 within the pitch. I kind of feel like it's close enough to where it's almost it's more than half the album, but not as much full bound to say that it would be within the extremity of like a full bound kind of classic score. I feel like within the pitch behind, I want to say that possibly there was another No Doubt album. I think I remember giving like approximate like a 7.75. Maybe it was Return to Saturn. Don't remember his full bound, but this is above average within the pitch behind it. Definitely pretty stellar, but it's just in the pitch that some of these type songs within the pitch behind it. It's kind of the concept that just some of these type ones just don't have like the full bound kind of velocity of like the pitch. I mean, I realized this was their first album and it's kind of the product that, a year before this, they were unsigned within some of those particular type fairs just from the conduct of this kind of. It's not to say that the skill set wasn't there. It's just kind of the pitch that they were fleshing out a sound that was just the velocity of what was particularly going on with the label not backing them and giving them much budget to really fuck within the pitch behind it. It's just kind of the concept that it just didn't really have like the push as far as like the aspect of what was particularly needed. But they definitely proved them wrong as far as those pitches can happen. Definitely with Tragic Kingdom and Beacon Street Collection, they definitely proved them a lot further wrong within the pitch. But this is another highlight here. This is not a mistake of a product. Definitely did some things right within the pitch behind it. Had plenty of good. Did some good venue type scene appeal within the pitch. That probably leads to like the social score. I'd probably say here the social score I'd probably give like an 8.5 out of 10 because there's enough ones on here just to be able to say the only real pitch behind kind of bleeding between the score being a 7.75 and the social score being an 8.5. It's just the pitch that there are some moments type on here within the pitch, but it's just the promotion is not that high because they didn't have the backing. It's just kind of the concept that some of these type moments, like the 4 songs are listed, just kind of don't have like the piecing together as far as like the pitch is full bound within some of these type moments. I mean, they have enough moments on here. I feel like there are like the ones that have the biggest traces are the ones that remind of like the songs like Spiderwebs, Just a Girl, and Don't Speak, some of those type pitches, which would be songs like Trapped in a Box, should be songs like Trapped in a Box, Doormat, and Sometimes, some of those type pitches, which remind of those 3 singles I listed. So it's just been fair as far as saying they had some good type moments, like some promise as far as delivering upon those singles, which particularly did that particular fair. Just kind of the concept. I realized that there's plenty of good social step out on here. These venue type spots, the dance venue, the restaurant type scene, some city hops and debonairness just in the pitch. It's pretty fun type prospect just from the aspect that, especially for 1992, as far as those pitches can happen, just looking within the tone of what that particularly did. It's kind of concept. It's just so low key within the pitch that most folks would probably think that this is like the Infinite by Eminem type album, that this is more for hardcore fans within the pitch. But it does have some step out. I just would feel like Trapped in the Box, definitely a good highlight. I feel like Let's Get Back's a good immediate type one to go for. Doormat's pretty good. Sometimes it's like a good sometimes like a good taste of something different, like a moody type sense, pretty emo type song. Doormat has some appeal, and then some of these venue type songs are really within the aspect of nailing it. So just a good type pitch. Pretty much damn near everything minus the songs I didn't recommend would have some degree of a relative kind of immediacy factor. So that's the pitch. So in terms of the future, the unfortunate thing is just the concept that No Doubt has been gone since 2012 as far as this pitch can happen. They did at least drop that final album in 2012. And they do have like at least another compilation album that, I mean, I basically wrapped up this last No Doubt project to get to in terms of everything in like their standard catalog, but they do at least have like a 2004 compilation I'm going to get to and then cap off No Doubt as far as what's first going to happen. Now, I still have the rest of Gwen Stefani's products to get to, which I'm going to get to throughout the course of this year and pitches like that. We'll get to some more of these, but just one pitch, this is a good, this is above average, definitely pretty stellar type product within the pitch. Has some venue moments on here, just kind of some localized kind of disc underground type fare that just is mildly above the surface, but nails this particular aspect. Just kind of has some good grounding breakthroughs, and this is pretty trend setting for like the 90s. Definitely a 90s banner album within a pitch for like the sound that it carved out, and this like an initial type one that showcased what they could do.